The phone buzzed against the oak nightstand. Once, twice, 3 times. The screen lit up the RK bedroom with a name. M.A. Rochelle Hayes, 3B. I picked up. Didn't speak. Cole, his voice was a ragged whisper, the kind that came from a man pressing his face into a couch cushion so his wife wouldn't wake. Cole, I'm not crazy. I hear D screaming. From your place. A woman. It cut off real fast. I sat up. The sheets fell away. The floorboard RDS were cold under my BA feet. I'm looking at your window right now, M.A. Rochelle continued. Lights on in the living room. But I saw something else. 2 men. Big guys. They went in through the back gate 20 minutes ago. They didn't knock. I walked to the bedroom door and pressed my EAR to the wood. Silence. Then a low shuffle. The sound of a boot heel dragging across the hardwood floor in the living room. Don't call the cops. I said. Too late, M.A. Rochelle breathed. They're already on their way. Cole, I hear D. The line went dead. I pulled the phone away and saw the battery icon flash red. 2%. I tossed it on the bed and opened the bedroom door. The hallway was RK. The living room was RK. But the front door was wide open, and the security light from the porch bled across the threshold in a long white rectangle. 2 shadows cut through that rectangle. Big shapes. Blocky. They were already inside. I moved. No shoes. No shirt. Just gray sweatpants. My feet made no sound on the polished concrete. I pressed my back against the wall beside the doorway and waited. One of them spoke. Deep. Eastern European. He's not here. Check the back, the other said. American. Flat. Professional. The second shadow broke away. Heavy footsteps went down the hall. Tower, RD the kitchen. The first shadow stayed put, scanning the room. I took a half-step 4-way road. My hand found the light switch. The overhead lamps blazed on. The man in the room was 6'4", maybe 250. Crew cut. Military posture. His eyes widened half a second, but that was the only give. The gun in his hand didn't waver. Cole Morrison, he said. You're a hard man to find. You found me, I said. Now you get to leave. He smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. My associate is clearing the rest of the house. You sit down. We wait for him. Then we have a conversation. I'd rather not. The smile held. It wasn't a request. I heard the other man come back. His footsteps were quicker now. He read in the kitchen doorway and gave a single nod. Clean, he said. Bedroom's empty. Bathroom's empty. Check the closet again. I checked twice. The big man never looked away from me. Cole, we know what you did. We know where you went. And we know you thought the file was deleted. The file, I repeated, the one you've been CA-ring since CA Rackus. The one you thought was gone when your laptop was destroyed in the explosion. I said nothing. He took a step closer. We don't want to hurt you. We want the backup. The HRD copy. You hand it over, you walk away. You get a new name, new city, new life. You never see us again. And if I don't have it, then this conversation gets louder. He tilted his head. Tower, RD the porch. Your neighbor already called the police. I heard the sirens 3 minutes out. That gives us enough time to do this clean or do it messy. Your choice. I looked past him. Through the open front door, I could see the blue and red lights flickering between the houses on the street. 2 cruisers. Maybe 3. Police, I said. Good. The big man's eyes narrowed. You want to take this up with uniforms? They'll find your fingerprints on 3 dead bodies in Bogota. They'll find your face on a dozen embassy watch lists. You want to explain that at 11:50 on a Tuesday night? I don't need to explain anything. I said. The sirens cut off. Doors slammed. Footsteps on the front walk. The second man pulled his gun and pointed it at the floor. Back door, he said. Now. But the first man held up a hand. He was watching me. Really watching. And something in his face shifted. You're not SCA red. He said. Should I be? You're not even breathing hard. I shrugged. It's been a long night. The police knocked. 3 RP pounds on the open door. This is the Chicago PD. We received a disturbance call. Step out with your hands visible. The big man looked at me, then at his partner. A decision flickered behind his eyes. He holstered his side RM smooth. Controlled. I'm sorry about the mess, he said. Then he turned to the door and raised his hands. Officers. We're just neighbors. The resident here, Mr. Morrison, he asked us to help him look for a lost pet. 3 uniforms filled the doorway. Flashlights cut through the arcade of the lead officer, A woman with sergeant stripes scanned the room. "Sir," she said to me. "You live here?" "Yes." "These men, friends of a friend," I said. "They were just leaving." She didn't buy it. She didn't have to. The training kicked in. Her eyes went to the guns. Neither man had concealed them well. The silhouette was obvious under a cheap jacket. "Hands on the wall," she said. "Both of you." Now, the big man complied. His partner did the same. But as he pressed his palms to the drywall, he turned his head just enough to lock eyes with me. "Tomorrow," he said. "The gala. You'll be there. We know you will. And everyone you love will be there too." The sergeant shoved him against the wall and cuffed him. "Shut your mouth." The patrol officers swept the rest of the house. They found nothing. No weapons I'd ever touched. No bodies. No blood. Just a tidy flat with a man in sweatpants and two armed intruders with no jurisdiction. That the sergeant came to me after they'd loaded the men into the first cruiser. She was shorter than me, but her presence filled the frame. "Mr. Morrison," she said, "those men had federal warrants. Interpol flags. They're not just burgle ARS. I figured. So why are they in your house?" I looked at the street. M.A. Rochelle Hayes was standing on his porch in a bathrobe, phone clutched in his hand, watching the scene unfold. He gave me a shaky thumbs up. "Wrong address," I said. "They were looking for someone named Cole. My name's William." She read at me. The lie was thin. She could feel it. But her radio crackled with dispatch confirming the warrants, and her attention shifted. "We'll have a CA or patrol this block for the rest of the night. You call if they come back." "I will." She turned to leave. Halfway down the walk, she stopped and looked back at me. "I've seen you before." "I don't think so." "Venezuela. Embassy extraction. Arling Yiba." Her voice dropped. "You were the station A retarget. The one who didn't move." I said nothing. "Stay safe, Major," she said. Then she got in her car and drove away. I closed the front door, locked it, walked to the bedroom, and plugged my phone into the charger. When it powered on, I had 17 missed messages, all from the same number. The encrypted app, the last one read, "She's been moved. 4-way road operating location. You have until 6 p.m. tomorrow to trade the file for her life. The gala. The South Terrace. Come alone." I deleted the thread, put the phone down, went to the closet and reached behind the hanging shirts and pressed a specific corner of the back panel. It clicked. The false wall slid open. Inside, a passport, a stack of cash, a SIG Sauer P226 with a custom suppressor, and a small metal lockbox with a thumbprint scanner. I pressed my thumb to the pad. The box opened. Inside was the file. Not a folder, not a USB. A single sheet of paper with 37 names, dates, and locations. Every player in the network I'd dismantled in CA Raqas. Every shadow still alive. I folded it, slipped it into my pocket. Then I looked at the clock on the wall. 12:07 a.m. 11 hours and 53 minutes until the gala. I dressed in black. Tactical pants, a compression shirt, a blazer over the top. I tucked the SIG into a custom holster at my lower back. When I walked out the front door, M.A. Rochelle was still on his porch. "Cole," he called. "Are you okay?" I paused at the gate. "Don't answer the door for anyone tonight," I said, "and delete my number. You're not coming back. I'm going to a Rudy." I walked down the street. The moon was high. The sirens were gone. The men in the cruiser were already being processed at a precinct I'd never set foot in. But I knew one thing for certain. The backup that was supposed to delete itself 7 years ago hadn't. And now everyone I'd buried wanted it back. Tomorrow, they'd all be in one place. The gala. I checked my watch. 11 hours, 42 minutes. Let them come. The gala was held at the Drake Hotel. Grand ballroom. Crystal chandeliers. A guest list that read like a who's who of the city's elite. Politicians, financiers, media moguls. And beneath the surface, a web of connected interests that had been woven over decades. I arrived at 5:47 p.m. 13 minutes EARLY. The valet took my keys without looking at my face. The doorman nodded. The security checkpoint waved me through with a cursory scan of my jacket. They were looking for weapons. They were looking for threats. They were not looking for a man who had already been inside this building 100 times before. I walked through the lobby. M.A. Reblee floors. Gilded mirrors. A grand staircase that curved up to the second floor like a spine. The ballroom doors were open. Inside, the first wave of guests had already gathered. Champagne flutes. Laughter. The soft hum of a string quartet playing something by Bach. I took a flute from a passing tray. Held it. Didn't drink. My eyes swept the room. For exits. 2 stairwells. A service corridor behind the stage. Kitchen access through the east wall. All of it mapped in my head from the blueprints I'd memorized 4 hours ago. The host of the evening was standing NEA or the podium. Marcus Webb. 62 years old. Silver hair. Tailored suit. A smile that had graced 100 magazine covers. He was the face of the Webb Foundation. Philanthropy. ART preservation. Youth outreach. He was also the man who had signed the order to have my team killed in CA Rakas. I watched him work the room. Handshakes. Backslaps. The effortless cha-rm of a predator who had never once been challenged. He moved through the crowd like a blade through silk. And then he saw me. The smile didn't falter. That was the first thing I noticed. Marcus Webb had spent 30 years learning how to never let his face betray him. But his eyes flickered. Just for a second. A micro-expression that said, "You're not supposed to be here." He excused himself from the group and walked toward me. Smooth. Unhurried. He stopped 2 feet away and extended his hand up. "Cole," he said. "I didn't expect to see you tonight." I took his hand. Held it a beat longer than necessary. "Marcus, you look well." Philanthropy agrees with me. He released my hand and gestured to the room. The foundation raised $7 million last year. ART programs for underprivileged youth. Education initiatives. You should see the numbers. I've seen them. His eyes narrowed. I'm sorry, the financials. The offshore accounts. The shell companies that funnel money through the CA rib bean. I took a sip of the champagne. Flat. WARM. You raised $7 million for the kids. You pocketed $23 million from the same donors. Marcus laughed. It was a practice sound. Rich and WARM and utterly hollow. "Cole, I have no idea what you're talking about. But I'm glad you came. It's been too long." He turned to leave. I didn't stop him. I didn't have to. The trap was already set. I moved through the crowd. Faces blurred past me. Men in tuxedos. Women in gowns. I noted each one. Cataloged their positions. The exits. The sightlines. I was looking for one face in particular, or I found her at the FAR end of the room. NEA are the South Terrace doors. Elena Webb. Marcus's daughter. 27. DARK hair. DARK eyes. A red dress that cut low and high in all the right places. She was standing with a group of young socialites, laughing at something one of them had said. The champagne in her hand was NEARLY emptied as she saw me. The laughter stopped. She excused herself and walked toward me. Her heels clicked on the marble. "Steady. Determined." "Cole," she said. "I was wondering when you'd show up. You were expecting me. Father mentioned you might come." She stopped close enough that I could smell her perfume. Jasmine. Something underneath it. Steel. He also mentioned that you've been saying some strange things lately. About him. About the foundation. Strange things. Accusations. Her voice dropped. Things that could hurt a lot of people if they got out. I looked past her. Through the terrace doors. The sun was setting. The skyline was turning orange and red. The south terrace was empty. "For now, your father and I have history." I said, "I know." She stepped closer. "He told me everything. About CA Rakas. About the team. About what you did." "Did he tell you about the men he left behind?" She didn't answer. I leaned in. My voice was a whisper. "Did he tell you about the 3 men who died because he sold them out? The men who trusted him. The men who believed they were coming home." Her jaw tightened. "He told me it was a mission gone wrong. A casualty of war. It was a massacre. He gave the coordinates to the CA Ratel. He traded their lives for a shipping route. And when it was over, he blamed the whole thing on me." Elena's hand came up. Fast. I caught her wrist before it made contact. Her eyes FLA red. "Let go of me. Or what you'll scream." I released her. "You've got good instincts. Strong grip. Your father taught you to fight. He taught me to survive." She stepped back and smoothed her dress. "You don't know what he's capable of." "I know exactly what he's capable of." I looked at my watch. 6:02 p.m. "Where is she?" Elena's expression shifted. The anger faded. Something else took its place. "Fia R. Who? The woman you're holding in the south wing. The one you moved here this morning." She went pale. The color drained from her face so fast I thought she might faint. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't lie to me, Elena. I've been inside this building 3 times in the last 12 hours. I know about the security detail on the fourth floor. I know about the soundproofed room. I know about the 4-drip and the restraints. She backed up a step. You're insane. I'm the only sane person in this room. The string quartet finished their piece. The applause was polite, distant. I turned away from Elena and looked toward the podium. Marcus had taken the stage. He was adjusting the microphone. Flashing that impeccable smile, "Ladies and gentlemen," he said. "Thank you for being here tonight." The crowd quieted. Glasses lowered. Heads turned at ISTA route walking toward the staged. "We have so much to celebrate," Marcus continued. "Another year of impact. Another year of changing lives. But tonight, I want to take a moment to recognize someone special. Someone who has been with this foundation since the very beginning." He looked directly at me. The smile widened. "Cole Morrison," he said. "A man who served this country with distinction. A man who made the ultimate sacrifice in ways I can never fully repay. Cole, would you join me on stage?" The crowd parroot. Eyes turned toward me. Some curious, some skeptical, a few outright hostile. I walked up the steps. Slow, deliberate. Every eye in the room was on me. Marcus extended his hand. I took it. He pulled me into a half embrace that was more performance than affection. Cole here was a major in the Armée Special Operations Division. He led missions in some of the most dangerous places on EARTH. And 5 years ago, he saved my life in Caracas. Marcus turned to the audience. If not for him, I wouldn't be here today. The crowd applauded. Polite, measured. Marcus leaned in. His voice was a whisper, rely audible over the clapping. "I know what you're doing. I know about the file. And I know you don't have the guts to use it." I smiled. It didn't reach my eyes to turn around, I said. Marcus blinked. "What?" "Turn around and look at the screen behind you." He turned. The massive projection screen that was supposed to display the Foundation's annual report was now showing something else. Spreadsheets, bank accounts, names, dates. The entire financial structure of the Webb Foundation's shadow operations, laid out in crisp black and white. The applause died. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. A woman in the front row gasped. I took the microphone from the podium. My voice was calm, flat, the same tone I'd used to call in airstrikes. "Ladies and gentlemen, what you're looking at is the real ledger of the Webb Foundation. 7 million in charitable donations, 23 million in illicit profits, money laundered through shell companies in the Caymans, bribes paid to foreign officials, and the names of 3 men who died in Caracas because Marcus Webb sold them to the Cartel." Marcus lunged for the microphone. I stepped back. He grabbed empty air. "Stop this," he hissed. "You're destroying everything." "I'm not destroying anything." I held up a folded sheet of paper. 37 names. "I'm finishing what ISTA wrote." 2 men in suits burst through the crowd. "Security. Ermed." They were moving fast. I turned to them. Raised the paper. "Do you know whose names are on this list?" I asked. "Every operative still alive from the Caracas network. Every player who tried to erase the evidence. And every person who is going to prison because of what happened tonight." The security men slowed. They looked at each other. Then at Marcus. "Stop him," Marcus shouted. "He's a fugitive. He's a Ramed." I was not a Ramed. I had left the SIG in the CAR. But I didn't need it. The screen flickered. Another document read. This one was a photograph. A contract. Marcus Webb's signature at the bottom. Dated the day before the Caracas extraction. "I'm not the fugitive," I said. "He is." The ballroom doors burst open. Federal agents. Black vests. Badges on chains. A woman in a suit led the RG. She locked eyes with me. Gave a single nod. "Sergeant." "The same one from my APA meant Marcus Webb," she said. "You're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering, and treason." She didn't wait for a response. 2 agents flanked Marcus and cuffed him. The silver hair fell across his face. The impeccable smile had vanished. "This isn't over," he spat. "You think you've won. You don't even know who you're working for." I said nothing. I walked to the south terrace. The doors swung open. The cold air hit my face. The sun was gone. The sky was purple and black. The city lights flickered below. I pulled out my phone. One missed message. South wing. 4th floor. Room 412. The trap wasn't over. It was just beginning. I stepped back inside and walked past the chaos. The agents were taking statements. Guests were giving interviews. Marcus Webb was being let out in cuffs. But Elena was gone. And so was the woman in the soundproofed room. I reached the staircase and sta route up. For flights. No elevator. No witnesses. The door to 412 was Aya. I pushed it open. The room was empty. The bed was made. The four-stand was clean. No restraints. No blood. But on the pillow was a single photograph. It was me. Taken 30 minutes ago. Standing in the ballroom. And written on the back, in red ink. You're not the only one who keeps files. I turned the photograph over in my hand. The ink was fresh. The angle was precise. Someone had been standing in the mezzanine above the ballroom, looking down through the railing. I had scanned that mezzanine 3 times. I had counted every guest, every server, every shadow. And I had missed a shooter. Not a shooter with a gun. A shooter with a camera. That meant they knew my patterns. They knew where I looked and where I didn't. They had studied me the same way I had studied Marcus Webb. I pocketed the photograph and walked to the window. Room 412 faced the alley behind the hotel. The fire escape was rusted but functional. A single set of footprints led down. Size 11. Heeled boot. Weight distribution favored the right foot, which meant a slight limp or an old injury. I filed it away. The door clicked shut behind me. I didn't turn. You're faster than I expected, Elena said. I was counting on another 5 minutes. I turned. She was standing in the doorway. ARMS crossed. Red dress replaced by black tactical HAR. Her hair was pulled back. A compact Glock sat in a thigh holster. Your father's in federal custody. I said, good. He's been dead weight for YARS. You don't seem surprised. I've been planning this for 6 months. She stepped into the room. I know about the file. I know about the 37 names. I know you took a copy of the ledger and saved it offline before the explosion. What I don't know is where you hid the physical evidence that ties the remaining players to the CA-RACA's operation. Why would I tell you that? Because I have something you want. She pulled out her phone and tapped the screen. Held it up. A live feed. A woman in a white room. Dark hair. Pale skin. A metal chair bolted to the floor. Her wrists were bound with zip ties. Her eyes were closed. I recognized her. I had recognized her the moment Marcus mentioned CA-RACA's. S.A. Rachun. My former intelligence officer. The one who had been listed as Kia in the after-action report. She's alive, Elena said. She's been alive this whole time. Marcus didn't sell her out like the others. He kept her for leverage. In case you ever came back. Where is she? Not in this building. She was moved 2 hours ago, just before you walked in. Elena lowered the phone. I know where she's going. I know who's picking her up. And I know what they plan to do with her if you don't show. Show where Elena smiled. It was her father's smile. Hollow. Professional. There's a Wari house on the south side. Old textile factory. Abandoned for 10 years. The CA Retail uses it as a staging ground for their shipments. The woman in your APA meant tonight. The one you thought was a threat. She was a messenger. They wanted to war in you. They wanted you SCA red. I don't get SCA red. No, you don't. She took a step closer. But you do get cornered. And right now, you're in the corner of a room with no exits, no backup, and no time. The agents downstairs are busy with Marcus. They won't be up here for another 20 minutes. That's your window. My window for what? To decide if you trust me. I laughed. It was a short, flat sound. You're his daughter. I'm his daughter. And I've been cleaning up his messes for 7 years. She unclipped the Glock from her thigh and held it out. Grip first. Take it. Or don't. But if you want S.A. Raw back, you need to be at the Wari house in 45 minutes. And you need to go alone. I didn't take the gun. 18 months ago, I said. I received an encrypted message from a dead drop in Prague. It contained the coordinates of a safe house in Berlin. The message was signed with a code that only 3 people knew. Marcus, S.A. Rao, and me. Elena's expression flickered. I don't know anything about Prague. Then how did you find S.A. Rao? She held my gaze. Because I've been following her trail for 2 years. She didn't die in CA-RACA's. She was captured, interrogated, and transferred to a black site in Eastern Europe. I found the location through a contact in Russian intelligence who owed me a favor. What contact? A man named Yuri Volkov. I went still. Yuri Volkov was the 3rd name on my list. The ARMS dealer who had supplied the CA Retail with weapons in the months leading up to the extraction. He was also dead. I had watched his body burn in a CAR outside Bogotá. Yuri died in 2019. I said, Yuri died in 2020. He faked his death twice before. The third time stuck. She lowered her ARM. I used his network to track SA Ra across 3 countries. And when I found her, I found something else. Your father's real operation. Not just his operation. The whole thing. The CA Ratel. The shell companies. The senators. The generals. Mayor Cuss Webb was a middleman. A front man. He took the money and handed it up the chain to people who could never be touched. Until tonight. Until tonight. She holstered the Glock. You brought down the face of the operation. But the body is still moving. And if you go to that Wari house alone, you'll walk into a trap that was designed for you by people who have been waiting for 7 years. Why are you telling me this? Elena stepped past me and looked out the window. The alley was dark. The fire escape was stilled, because you're the only person who can finish what I sta route. I hate my father. I've hated him since I was 12 years old, and I watched him beat my mother for asking too many questions. I've been building this case for a decade, and you just took the final piece of evidence that will put him away for life. But you don't want that. I want him dead. She turned. So do the people who own his debt. And they know you have the ledger. They know you have the list. They're not going to kill you. They're going to break you. Slowly. In front of SA Ra. And they're going to record every second of it, so that anyone else who tries to expose them will know what happens. I looked at my watch. 6:21 p.m. What's at the Wari house? I asked. 3 men. CA Ratel enforcers. 2 of them a former Melita Re. One of them is a woman. She's the one who moved SA Ra out of the hotel. She's also the one who ordered the break-in at your APA Met. The big guy? Eastern European. His name is Krov. He's former Spetsnaz. He works for a man named Dracos. Greek. 9 figures in assets. Owns half the shipping lanes in the Mediterranean. Dracos is the one who wants the list. What does he want with it? Elena walked Tawa RD the door. That's what you need to find out. You have 39 minutes. I'll be waiting at the south exit with a CAR. She paused at the threshold. Her hand rested on the doorframe. One more thing, she said. The photograph on the pillow. That wasn't me. Then who? She didn't answer. She walked out and let the door swing shut behind her. I stood in the empty room for 30 seconds. Then I walked to the window and looked down at the alley. The footprints were still there. Size 11. Heeled boot. But there was something else. A second set of prints. Smaller. An A-rower. A woman's shoe. High heel. The kind you are to a gala. She had been there too. Watching. I pulled out my phone and dialed the encrypted number. The one I'd memorized from the message in my APA Met. It rang twice. Then a voice. Familia R. Cold. Major Morrison. Who is this? Does it matter? It matters if you're the one holding SA Ra. A pause. Then a low laugh. SA Ra is safe. For now. But she won't be if you bring anyone else to the Wari house. And she won't be if you try to contact the authorities. You're not CA Ratel. I'm not CA Ratel. I'm the person who's been watching you for 7 years. I'm the person who put the file in your hands in the first place. And I'm the person who will make sure you understand exactly what you're fighting for. You work for Dracos. I work for no one. The voice hardened. 38 minutes. Come alone. And Cole, stop lying to yourself about why you're really here. The line went dead. I pocketed the phone and moved Tawa RD. The door of the hallway was empty. The stairs were clear. The ballroom below was still a chaos of flashing lights and federal agents. I exited through the south door and found the CAR, black sedan. Engine running. Elena behind the wheel. Get in. She said. I got in. The engine ROA red. We pulled out of the alley and hit the main road. The city sped past. Lights. Bilbo ARDS shadows. 7 years of running. 7 years of hiding. And now I was driving Tawa RD, the one thing I had tried to bury. SA Rachun. The woman who had saved my life in CA Rakas. The woman I had left behind. The woman who had sent me the Prague message. Tell me about Krov, I said. Elena gripped the wheel. He's the one who killed your team. He was there. He gave the order. Mayor Cuss Webb was the financier. Krov was the executioner. He shot 3 of your men in the head and left their bodies in the jungle. I said nothing. You're not going to react. I'm saving it. Elena glanced at me. That's the most terrifying thing I've ever heroed. The Wari house ape read ahead. A rusted skeleton against the night sky. No lights. No guardias. No movement. I checked my watch. 6:58 p.m. 2 minutes EARLY. Pull over, I said. I'll walk from here. Elena stopped the car. I opened the door and stepped out. The air was cold. The wind ride the smell of iron and rot coal. Elena called through the window. If you die in there, I'm going to be very annoyed. I didn't answer. I walked Tawa RD the Wari house. The door was open. Inside, a single light burned in the center of the floor. And in that light, a figure sat in a metal chair. Sa Rachunda. She looked up at me. Her face was bruised. Her lip was split. But her eyes were clear. Cole, she said. I told you not to come. Behind her, a door opened. Heavy footsteps. For pairs. Krov stepped into the light. And behind him, a woman I didn't recognize. She was tall, blonde, built like a runner. She was holding the photograph from the pillow. Major Morrison, she said. We have so much to discuss. She smiled. And then the lights went out. The lights went out. The black was absolute. Not the kind of darkness you get from a blown fuse or a power surge. This was engineered. Deliberate. Someone had killed the circuit from the main panel, and the backup generator hadn't kicked in. I dropped into a crouch. My hand went to the small of my back, where the SIG should have been. It wasn't. The gun was in the CAR, tucked under the seat. I had trusted Elena. Or I had wanted to. The first footstep came from my left. Heavy. Dragging. Krov was moving. He had the advantage. He knew the layout. He knew where Ra was sitting. He knew where the exits were. I didn't. I listened. The Wari house had high ceilings and corrugated walls. Sound bounced. Echoes layered on top of each other. A drip of water somewhere to the right. A rat skittering across a metal beam above. The second footstep. Closer. He was circling. Wide and slow. Like a wolf testing the fence. I had three options. Move four-way RD Tawa RD Sa Ra, which meant crossing the open floor in total darkness. Move backway RD Tawa RD the door, which meant exposing my back to Krov. Or stay still and wait for the generator to kick on, and buy me a visual. I stayed still. The third footstep was a half-step shorter. He was hesitating. He had expected me to run. The pause told me everything I needed to know about Krov. Aggressive, confident, but not patient. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the folded sheet of paper. The list. I crumpled it into a tight ball and tossed it to my left. It hit the concrete with a soft thump. The footsteps stopped. Another pause. Then a shift of weight. He had heard the sound. But he didn't follow it. He's not stupid. S.A. Ross' voice cut through the dark. Taut. Controlled. He knows what you're doing. Shut up, Krov said. His accent was thicker now. The Eastern European rasp was more pronounced. The veneer of professionalism had cracked. Make me. S.A. Ross said. The zip tie snap. Then a clatter. A chair tipping over. S.A. Ra was freed. The darkness lit up for a fraction of a second. A muzzle flash. Krov fired. The round ricocheted off the concrete floor and whined into the rafters. I moved. I sprinted diagonally, keeping my shoulders low, my head down. My shin slammed into a metal shelf. The pain shot up my leg, but I didn't stop. I ducked behind a stack of wooden crates and pressed my back against the splintered wood. Breathing. Slow. Controlled. Another muzzle flash. This one came from my right. The blonde woman. She was firing blindly into the dark, trying to suppress me. I counted. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 rounds fired. She had a Glock 19. Standard road capacity. 15 rounds. That left 8. I pulled out my phone. The screen was dim, but it was enough. I swiped to the flashlight app. Flicked it on for half a second. Just enough to blind whoever was looking in my direction. Krov shouted. His hand came up to shield his eyes. I saw him for that half second. 6'4", 250. Crew cut. The same man who had stood in my living room. He was holding a compact submachine gun, a check-made Scorpion, with a suppressor that threaded halfway down the BA-rel. I killed the light and moved again. This time I ran. Tawa RDSA Ross voiced. To your right, she called. 3 o'clock. I pivoted. My hand caught the edge of a table. I vaulted over it and landed in a crouch. S.A. Ra was beside me. She had her hands around a length of broken pipe. The zip ties had left Rama RKS on her wrists. You look terrible, I said. I've been worse. She handed me the pipe. Take it. He's reloading. I heard it. The sound of Krov's magazine clattering to the floor. the fresh magazine sliding home. The click of the bolt being racked. He was professional. Fast. But he had made a mistake. He had reloaded in the same spot he'd fired from. I threw the pipe. It spun end over end and slammed into the crate where he was standing. The sound was loud. Disorienting. Krav fired again. Wild. The rounds tore through the crate and sprayed splinters across the floor. I grabbed S.A. Ra and pulled her behind a steel support beam. The metal was cold against my back. She's still in the room, S.A. Ra whispered. The blonde. She's on the catwalk. She hasn't moved since the lights went out. How do you know? Because I watched her climb it before the power cut. She wanted the high ground. She wanted you to come in. I looked up. The catwalk was invisible in the dark, but I could hear her breathing. Slow. Deliberate. She was waiting for me to make a sound. Krav was still moving. I could hear his boots scraping across the concrete. He was getting closer. The Scorpion was a close-range weapon. He wanted to be within 10 feet before he fired again. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the photograph from the hotel, the one with the red ink. I held it up, letting the faint light from my phone reflect off the glossy surface. Nice picture, I said. Who took it? The blonde laughed. It echoed down from the catwalk. I did. You're a photographer. I'm a lot of things. Today, I'm your executioner. You're not here to kill me. You're here to take the list. And you can't take it if the lights are out. I heard her shift. A boot scraped against the metal grating. You're right, she said. Turn on the generator. Krav. Do it. A door creaked. Footsteps. Heavy. Moving away from us. Krav was heading for the generator. S.A. Ra grabbed my ARM now. While he's gone, we have to move. I nodded. We ran out. We sprinted through the dark. My hands were out in front of me, feeling for obstacles. Crates. Shelves. A rusted conveyor belt. We hit the FAR wall, and I followed it to the left, sea urching for a door. The generator coughed to life. Lights flickered, flashed, stabilized. The Wari house was revealed in hot RSH fluorescent white, that it was massive. Rows of shelving, dead machinery, a loading bay at the FAR end, and in the center, a circle of empty chairs and a single blood-stained rope. S.A. Ra was beside me, bleeding from a cut on her forehead. Her clothes were torn, but she was standing. The blonde was on the catwalk above. She was looking down at us. A long-range rifle was slung across her back. The Glock was in her hand. Impressive, she said. Most men would have died in the first 30 seconds. Most men don't have a reason to live. Major Morrison. She descended the metal stairs. Slow. Deliberate. I've heard so much about you. The ghost. The man who walked out of CA Raqas with nothing but a file and a grudge. I have to say, you look exactly as I expected. Is that a compliment? It's an observation. She hit the floor and walked towards. The Glock stayed level. Krav will be back in 90 seconds. That's how long we have to have this conversation. What conversation? The one where you hand over the list. She motioned with the gun. Not the fake one. Not the one you crumpled and threw in the dark. The real one. The one you've been lying in your chest pocket since the gala. I reached for my jacket. S.A. Ra grabbed my wrist. Don't, she said. I have to. No. Her grip tightened. She's lying. She doesn't want the list. She wants to destroy it. The blonde smiled. Your intelligence officer is very clever. That's why I kept her alive. She has a mind that's useful. She tilted her head. But not useful enough. I pulled my hand free. Slowly, I reached into my chest pocket and withdrew the folded sheet. The real list. 37 names. Come get it, I said. The blonde laughed again. It was a cold sound, metallic against the concrete walls. I'm not going to take it from you. You're going to give it to me. Because if you don't, Krav is going to walk through that door with S.A. Ra's brother. S.A. Ra went still. Her hand fell away from my ARM. You don't have my brother, she said. He died in 2017. He died in 2017 according to the file your handlers gave you. The file they made you believe. The blonde reached into her pocket and pulled out a photograph. She tossed it onto the floor in front of us. It was a man. EARLY 30s. DARK hair. Same eyes as S.A. Ra. He was standing in front of a concrete wall, holding up a newspaper. The date was Clea R. Today's date. He's alive, the blonde said. He's been alive for 9 years. And he's going to stay alive for exactly as long as you keep Singu parading. S.A. Ra didn't speak. She just read at the photograph. The blonde stepped closer. The list. Now. I unfolded the paper. The names were there. Krov, Dracos, Americus Webb, free senators, for generals, a dozen CA Retel leaders. One more step, I said. She took another step. I tore the paper in half. Then in qua rooters. Then in eighths. The blonde's eyes widened. I opened my mouth and swallowed the pieces. For a full second, no one moved. The blonde's Glock trembled. S.A. Ra Sta read at me, her face a mask of shock and something else. Respect, you're insane, the blonde whispered. I'm finished. The door behind her burst open. Krov filled the frame. The scorpion was raised, but he didn't fire. He was looking at something past us. Federal agents poured through the loading bay doors. Dozens of them. Black vests, rifles, flashlights. Elena was among them. She was wearing a vest. She had a badge around her neck. Federal Bureau of Investigation, she shouted. Drop your weapons. Now. The blonde looked at me. For the first time, her composure cracked. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Krov dropped the scorpion and raised his hands. The blonde didn't. She turned and sprinted Tawa RD the catwalk. 2 agents tackled her before she reached the first step. I watched them cuff her. Her eyes locked on me. You don't know what you've done, she said. I know exactly what I've done. I wiped my mouth. I've ended the list. Every name is gone. Every secret is gone. There's nothing left to trade. She laughed. It was a cracked, ragged sound. You think that's the end? The list was just the beginning. The names on that paper were the middlemen, the small fish. The real players, already moving. And they don't need a piece of paper to find you. Elena stepped between us. She's right. We found a second operation. A cell in the city. They have people everywhere. Then we shut it down. They're already shut down. This was a distraction. A sacrifice play. Elena looked at S.A. They wanted you to think you were rescuing her. They wanted you to think you were winning. S.A. turned to me. Her voice was quiet. They were never going to let me go. They were always going to trade me for the list. And then they were going to kill me anyway. I nodded. I know. Then why did you come? I looked at the floor. The torn paper was scattered. The photo of her brother was crumpled. Because you were my team, I said. And I don't leave anyone behind. The agents led Krov and the blonde out. Elena lingered for a moment, her eyes on me. The cell we found, she said. It wasn't connected to Americus. It wasn't connected to Dracos. It was something else. Something older. Older. How? She held out a file. Thin. Manila. No markings. Read it when you're ready. She walked out. S.A. and I were alone in the empty Wari house. The lights flickered one last time, and then stabilized. Cole, she said. What? Thank you. I looked at her. Then at the photo on the floor. We're not done, I said. They took your brother. They're still out there. And they know you're alive. S.A. picked up the photograph. Her hands were steadied. Let them come. Elena's file sat on the passenger seat of the black sedan. Thin. UNMA Ked. The kind of folder that had been handled fully, wiped clean of prints, passed through too many hands to leave a trace. I didn't open it. Not yet. S.A. was in the back seat, pressing a torn piece of her shirt against the cut on her forehead. The bleeding had slowed. Her breathing was steady, but her eyes were fixed on the REA review mirror, watching the Wari house shrink behind us. You should read it, she said. I will. Before we get where we're going. I glanced at her. Where are we going? She didn't answer. She just kept watching the mirror. Elena drove in silence. The city lights blurred past. Industrial district. Then residential. Then the high-rises of the financial core. She took a turn onto a side street and pulled into an underground GA rage. The gate slid up without a ticket. She had a transponder. Official access. Safe house, she said. FBI owned. Clean. No one knows about it except me and my director. Does your director know you're bringing 2 fugitives here? He knows I'm bringing you. He doesn't know about her. Elena killed the engine. And he's not going to find out. We got out. The GA rage was empty. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Elena led us to a steel door with a keypad. She punched in a code. The lock clicked. We stepped into a narrow stairwell and climbed 3 flights. The safe house was small. 1 bedroom. A kitchenette. A couch that had seen better decades. A table with 2 chairs. The walls were concrete. The windows were reinforced. S.A. sat on the couch. Her hands rested on her knees. She wasn't shaking. She was too controlled for that. But I saw the twitch in her jaw. The muscle that tightened when she was holding something back. Elena stood by the door. I have to debrief with my team. The blonde is in custody. Krav is in custody. Marcus Webb is in a federal holding cell. We have 48 hours before the legal machine grinds them loose. Use it. She left. The door locked behind her. The silence stretched. I sat across from S.A. Ra at the table and laid the file in front of me. What happened after C.A. Rakas? I asked. That S.A. Ra looked at me. Her eyes were dark, deep. The eyes of someone who had been hollowed out and filled with something harder. They took me before the extraction went hot. Krav was waiting in the compound. He knew we were coming. He knew the route. He knew the timing. Marcus had sold the entire op to the CA Retel 12 hours before we landed. Why not just kill you? Because I knew the encryption. The codes for the dead drops. The protocols for the safe houses. They wanted access. They wanted to burn everything we had built. She paused. I gave them enough to keep me alive. Not enough to hurt anyone. You gave them the Prague dead drop. I gave them a fake. A location that was already compromised. They tried to use it and lost 3 of their own men. After that, they stopped trusting me. They stopped talking to me. They just kept me in a room and waited for you to come back. How did you know I would? She didn't answer. She just looked at the file. I opened it. The first page was a photograph. A man in his late 50s. Gray hair. Sharp cheekbones. Eyes that were pale blue and utterly empty. The kind of eyes that had seen too much and felt nothing. The caption beneath read, Augustus Crane. Founder. Tethys Group. I turned the page. More photographs. A compound in the mountains. A fleet of CA Rigo ships. A list of subsidiaries that span 6 continents. Mining. Shipping. Private security. Data analytics. All of it owned by a single holding company. The third page was a timeline. Dates. Locations. Names. The oldest entry was 1989. The newest was 3 weeks ago. Every entry linked to an assassination, a coup, a bribery scandal, or a resource war. The Tethys Group, S.A. Ross said. I heard the name in the black site. The Gua RDS talked about it like a religion, like something they were building Tower Road. Not a corporation. A movement. There's no movement here. I tapped the page. There's a man. One man. Augustus Crane. Everything traces back to him. Then why haven't you heard of him? I didn't have an answer for that. I had operated in the darkest corners of the world for 15 years. I had hunted terrorists, CA Retel leaders, rogue generals. I had never once seen the name Augustus Crane. I turned to the last page. A single sentence, typed in bold, Project H.A. Rebinger. Active status. Unconfirmed. What's Project H.A. Rebinger? S.A. Ross stood up and walked to the window. Her reflection was pale against the reinforced glass. I don't know, she said. But the blonde knew. When she was interrogating me, she mentioned it. She said I was part of the project. That my extraction was a test. A way to see if you would come. A test for what? A test for loyalty. For operational capacity. For emotional attachment. She turned. They wanted to see if you would risk everything for one person. And you did. I closed the file. That means they know my threshold. They know what I'll do. It means they know how to break you. And they've been planning it for 7 years. The door unlocked. Elena came back in. She was holding a tablet. Her face was tight. We have a problem, she said. Just one. The blonde lawyered up. Krav lawyered up. But Marcus Webb is singing. He's giving up names. Locations. Bank accounts. He's trying to trade his way into witness protection. Let him. He's not giving up CA Retel names. He's giving up Tethys names. He's pointing a finger at Augustus Crane. I stood. He's trying to take down the only people who could protect him. Or he's trying to draw them out. He knows that if Crane finds out he's talking, Crane will send someone to silence him. And Marcus wants that. He wants to be the victim. He wants to turn his own execution into a media circus. I walked to the window and looked down at the street. Empty. Quiet. Too quiet. Where is he being held? Federal Detention Center. Downtown. Maximum security wing. Who's the Gua RD rotation? Elena glanced at the tablet. 4-man team. All federal marshals. 2 in the hall. 2 in the control room. Who else has access? Visiting hours over. No one. I turned. Then we have until morning. That's when the first Tethys asset will hit the building. You don't know that. I know how they work. They don't wait. They don't hesitate. If Marcus is talking, he's already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. S.A. Ross stepped 4-way road. Then we have to get him out. before they get to him. Elena shook her head. That's insane. He's a prisoner. He's the primary witness in a federal investigation. You can't just walk in and... Watch me. I moved to the door. Elena stepped in front of me. Cole, stop. Think about what you're doing. You're not a soldier anymore. You're not an operative. You're a civilian with a list of dead names in your stomach and a target on your back. I'm the only person who knows how Crane operates. I'm the only person who can predict his moves. I met her eyes. And I'm the only person in this room who has nothing left to lose. Elena held my gaze for a long moment. Then she stepped aside. Fine. But I'm coming with you. No. Yes. Because if you go alone, you're dead before you reach the elevator. I have credentials. I have access. I have a badge that opens doors you can't even see. Sarah picked up the file. I'm coming too. You're staying here. No. She folded the file and slipped it into her pocket. I've been the target for 7 years. I've been the reason for every move you've made. I've been the leverage. And I'm done being leverage. If we're going to take down Augustus Crane, I'm going to be standing next to you when it happens. I looked at both of them. The clock on the wall read 9:14 p.m. We have 8 hours, I said. 8 hours to get M.A. Ruckus out of federal custody before Crane's people get to him. We're going to need a plan. Elena pulled up the detention center schematics on her tablet. Sta route sketching a route on the back of an envelope. I walked to the bedroom and opened the closet. It was empty except for a single duffel bag. Inside, I found a ballistic vest, a set of lockpicks, a suppressed Glock with a full magazine. Elena Ape read in the doorway. That's from my personal stash. I was saving it for a rainy day. It's pouring. She smiled. It was a thin, tight expression, but it was real. You know, she said, when I root this, I thought you were just another broken soldier with a grudge. I thought you'd go in loud, take out a few CA Rattel guys, and get yourself killed within a week. And now she looked at me. Now I think you might actually have a chance. I holstered the Glock, pulled on the vest. Let's get to work. The detention center sat in the middle of the financial district like a concrete tomb. 20 stories of reinforced steel and bulletproof glass. The kind of building designed to hold people who had once held the world in their hands. M.A. Ruckus Webb was on the 18th floor. Maximum security wing. Solita reconfinement. I stood across the street, pressed against the wall of a shuttered deli. The rain had Sta root. Cold. Thin. The kind that soaked through fabric and chilled bone. Elena was beside me, her badge clipped to her belt. S.A. Ra was in the CA, are 2 blocks away, running comms. We have a window, Elena said. Shift change STARTS at 10:47. The night supervisor takes a smoke break on the roof at 10:52. That gives us 5 minutes to get through the lobby and onto the elevator before anyone checks the cameras. Cameras, I've got a loop running. The feed from the past hour is repeating. Anyone watching will see the same empty lobby for the next 10 minutes. I nodded. The Marshal's on the 18th floor, 2 in the hall. 1 at the control desk. The 4th is in the break room. He's the one we have to worry about. He's ex-military, Ranger. He won't go down easy. I'm not planning on putting him down. Elena looked at me. What are you planning? I pulled the Glock from my holster and checked the magazine. I'm planning on having a conversation. We crossed the street. Fast. Low. The rain masked our footsteps. The lobby doors were glass, but they slid open without resistance. Inside, the air was cold and sterile. A single RD sat behind the reception desk. He was young, fresh-faced. His eyes were on a tablet, scrolling through something that was definitely not security footage. Elena flashed her badge. Federal. We're here for the web transfer. The RD looked up, his brow furrowed. I didn't get a notification. It just came through. Supervisory order. You can call upstairs if you want, but the director's already approved it. He hesitated. I could see the HARS turning behind his eyes. He was trained to question. He was trained to verify. But he was young. And he was looking at a woman with a badge and a man in a ballistic vest. He reached for the phone. I moved. My hand came down on the receiver before he could lift it. My other hand pressed the muzzle of the Glock against his thigh, hidden by the desk. Don't, I said. His eyes went wide. His hand froze. Elena pulled a pair of zip ties from her pocket and secured his wrists to the chair. She taped his mouth with a strip of medical tape. Professional. Efficient. Elevator. I said. We moved through the security gate. My badge swiped. The system accepted it. Elena had access rights that extended beyond her rank. The FBI director's pet project, she'd called it. I didn't ask how she'd gotten the Clea rants. The elevator ride was silent. The floors counted up. 10, 14, 16, 18. The doors opened onto a narrow corridor. Fluorescent lights. White walls. A single door at the end, reinforced steel, with a slot for identification. The guard at the control desk looked up. He was older. Gray temples. ASEA are across his left eyebrow. He had a cup of coffee in his hand and a side ARM holstered at his hip. Whoa, he said. I wasn't told about any visitors. Elena stepped four-way road, emergency transfer. Webb's been flagged as a priority risk. We're moving him to a second A relocation. The guard set down his coffee. His hand drifted Tawa RD his side ARM. I need to see authorization. I pulled out a folded piece of paper. It was blank, but the guard didn't know that. I held it up at an angle, letting the fluorescent light reflect off the glossy surface. Supervisory order, I said. Signed by Director Morrison. The guard squinted. He was trying to read the text, but the angle was wrong. The reflection was too bright. Morrison, he repeated. Never heard of him. You will. His hand closed around his side ARM. I was faster. I crossed the distance in 3 steps, my left hand slapping his wrist aside while my right pressed the Glock suppressor against his temple. Don't, I said again. He froze. His eyes tracked to the corner of the room. The security camera. Its red light was blinking. But he didn't know about the loop. He didn't know that no one was watching. You're making a mistake, he said. Webb is protected. There's a federal order. I'm not here to hurt him. I'm here to save him. The guard's expression shifted. Confusion. Then something else. Understanding. The people after him, he said. They're already here. What? I got a call 20 minutes ago. A woman, blonde, said she was with Internal Affairs. She wanted access to the holding cell. I denied her. She said she'd be back. I looked at Elena. Her jaw tightened. She's already inside the building. The guard nodded. She came in through the service entrance. It's not on the main feed. No badge. No ID. But my system tracked her. She's on the floor below us. 17th. She's working her way up. I turned to the reinforced door. Open it. I can't. The lock is. I shot the lock. The round punched through the steel with a Shah RP crack. The door swung open. Marcus Webb was sitting on the edge of his cot. His wrists were cuffed to a rail. His silver hair was matted. His suit was gone, replaced by a gray jumpsuit. But his eyes were Shah RP. Calculating. Cole, he said. I was wondering when you'd show up. I'm not here to save you. Then why are you here? I walked to the cot and unlocked his cuffs. Because you're going to tell me everything you know about Augustus Crane. And then I'm going to let them take you. Marcus stood. He rubbed his wrists. And if I don't, I pressed the Glock against his chest. Then I'm going to walk out of this room and let the blonde do whatever she wants with you. He held my gaze. The arrogance flickered. Just for a second. Then it was gone. Fine, he said. But we have to move. She's on the floor below. She has a team with her. 5 men. All heavily armed. Where's the exit? Service elevator. End of the hall. It goes directly to the GA rage. Elena moved to the door. I'll cover the corridor. S.A. Ra, you reading this? S.A. Ra's voice crackled through the EA piece. Loud and clear are. The service elevator is active. But there's a problem. The blonde's team is already on the 17th floor stairwell. They're moving up. You have 90 seconds. I grabbed Marcus and shoved him Tawa RD the door. Move. We ran. Elena took point, her weapon raised. The corridor was empty. The control desk RD was still zip-tied to his chair. The young RD from the lobby was still in the elevator. The service elevator door was at the FAR end. A red button. Elena pressed it. The door slid open. We stepped inside. The doors closed. The elevator began to descend. Marcus leaned against the wall. His breath was ragged. You know, Cole, I always knew you'd be the one to come for me. You were always the loyal one. I'm not loyal to you. Then why? The elevator jolted. Stopped. The lights flickered. Elena looked at the panel. We're stuck. Between floors. I looked at the ceiling. The access hatch was there. Bolted shut. They're on the roof, S.A. Ross said through the EA piece. They cut the power to the elevator. They're going to drop you. I grabbed the hatch and pulled. It didn't budge. Marcus sta root laughing. A hollow, Broken sound. You see, you can't escape. No one escapes. I pulled again. The bolts groaned. One of them snapped. Elena fired her weapon at the ceiling. The round punched through the hatch. I grabbed the edge and ripped it open. Above us, I saw the arcade shaft, the cables, the counterweight. And I saw the blonde. She was looking down at me. Her Glock was raised. Major Morrison, she said. I told you we'd meet again. I reached up. My hand found the cable. I pulled myself out of the elevator just as the cable snapped. The elevator plummeted. The sound of metal screaming through the shaft was deafening. Then silence. Then the boom of impact from 18 stories below. Elena and Marcus were gone. I looked at the blonde. She was standing on a metal ladder bolted to the shaft wall. Her eyes were cold. Now, she said. We finished this. The shaft was black. The only light came from the open hatch below, a pale rectangle that had already route to fade as the emergency systems failed. The blonde was above me on the ladder. Her Glock was still trained on my chest. The suppressor made the BA rel look longer than it was. I hung from the cable. One hand. The other was empty. The SIG had fallen with the elevator. You have nowhere to go, she said. Neither do you. She smiled. I have a team. I have an exit. I have a helicopter waiting on the roof. She shifted her weight on the ladder. You have a dead federal agent and a dead informant in the basement. I don't believe you. The smile faded. You're stalling. I'm thinking. I swung my legs. My feet found the ladder rung below her. She fired. The round whistled past my EAR and ricocheted off the concrete wall. I kicked. My heel connected with her wrist. The Glock clattered off the ladder and fell into the arcade. She didn't panic. She grabbed the ladder with both hands and swung herself sideways, kicking out at my chest. I took the hit. The air left my lungs. My grip on the cable slipped. I fell. My hands scrambled. They caught the edge of the hatch. The steel bit into my palms. I hung there, swaying. The arcade shaft yawning beneath me. The blonde dropped onto the hatch beside me. She landed in a crouch. Balanced. Controlled. You're not going to win, she said. You were never going to win. This was always going to end with you dead and me walking out. I pulled myself up. My ARMS were burning. My shoulders screamed. I got one knee onto the hatch framed up. She kicked me in the face. My head snapped back. Blood filled my mouth. You were a soldier, she said. You followed orders. You trusted the system. And the system sold you out. 7 years ago. Right now? Always. You're not a hero. You're a warning. I spat blood. Who are you working for, Crane? Augustus Crane. He's not a man, she said. He's a principal. A force. You can't shoot a force. You can't arrest a principal. And you definitely can't swallow a list and make it go away. I reached into my pocket. The photograph. I pulled it out and held it up. Your brother, I said. The one in the picture. He's not S.A. Ross' brother. He's yours. She went still. He's alive? I continued. I saw him. In the Wari house. Before the lights went out. He was in the back room. Bound. Gagged. He was trying to RN you. You're lying. I'm not. Crane took him because he knew you'd never turn on him if your brother was safe. But he was never safe. He was always a hostage. And now he's dead. She lunged. I rolled. She slammed into the hatch frame. Her shoulder caught the edge. I heard the bone crack. She didn't scream. She just pushed herself up and came at me again. I was faster now. My fist connected with her throat. She staggered. I hit her again. Her head snapped back. I'm not lying, I said. He's dead. Crane killed him when you walked into this building. He never expected you to come out. She collapsed to her knees. The fight drained out of her. Her face was paled. How do you know? She whispered, because I found him. I knelt beside her. I found him in the Wari house. He was still breathing. He told me everything. The operation. The plan. The fact that Crane is not a man. He's a network. A decentralized group of assets who don't know each other. The name is a placeholder. A symbol. There's no Augustus Crane. There never was. She looked at me. Her eyes were wet. I didn't know, she said. I thought he was protecting me. He was using you. Just like he used everyone. The distant sound of sirens filtered up through the shaft. Emergency vehicles. Police. The building was surrounded. You need to go, I said. Why would you help me? Because I'm not him. I stood. Pulled her to her feet. She stumbled. Her ARM hung at a strange angle. There's a service door on the 19th floor, I said. It leads to the roof. The helicopter is still there. You take it. You get out. And you never come back. You'll be trapped. I know. I climbed past her. Up the ladder. The rungs were cold and slick with moisture. My hands were bleeding. My ribs ached. But I kept moving. The 19th floor hatch was bolted from the inside. I slammed my shoulder against it. Once. Twice. The third time, it gave. I pulled myself onto the landing. The hallway was empty. The lights were dim. The building's emergency power was failing. I moved fast. Down the corridor. Through a fire door. Into the stairwell. The stairs were a spiral of concrete and metal. I descended. Past 18. Past 17. Past 16. I stopped at the floor where the service elevator had fallen. The elevator door was buckled. The shaft behind it was a tomb. I pressed my face against the gap and looked down. Elena was alive. She was standing on top of the wrecked elevator. Emeircus was beside her. His jumpsuit was torn. He was bleeding from a gash on his forehead. Cole, Elena shouted. The CAR is wedged. We can't get out. I'm coming down. I found the emergency ladder on the wall. It was rusted but intact. I climbed. The metal groaned. My fingers were slick with blood. At the bottom, I dropped onto the elevator. CAR. Elena grabbed my ARM. You're bleeding. I'm fine. Emeircus laughed. It was a ragged, desperate sound. You're not fine. You're dying. We're all dying. I looked at him. Give me the name. What? The real name. The one you didn't tell the feds. The one that actually controls the network. Emeircus's eyes root. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. The blonde told me. She told me everything before she left. There's a name. One name. The man who runs the network from the inside. The man who hired Croft. The man who ordered the CAR's extraction. Emeircus shook his head. If I tell you, he'll kill me. He's already going to kill you. Everyone in this room is going to die unless you give me the name. Elena pulled out her side ARM and pressed it against his chest. Talk. Emeircus looked at her, then at me, then at the darkness above us. Jonathan Silva, he said. My chief of staff. My right hand. He's been running the Tethys operation for the past 2 years. He's the one who knows everything. He's the one who's been feeding Crane's network from the inside. I turned to Elena. He's still alive. He was at the gala. He left before the arrest. Then we're not done. Elena holstered her weapon. We can't get out. The shaft is collapsed. The doors re-sealed. I looked up. The hatch was still open. The cable was still dangling. One of us has to climb. I said, I can't. Elena held up her ARM. It was bent at a wrong angle. I fell. It's broken. Emeircus shook his head. I'm not climbing that. I have a concussion. I looked at both of them. Then ISTA root climbing. The cable was slick with grease. My hands kept slipping. I had to wrap my legs around it and inch up way RD, hand over hand, foot over foot. Every muscle in my body was screaming. The hatch came into view. I reached for the edge. My hand caught. I pulled myself onto the 18th floor landing. The hallway was empty. The control desk was empty. The Gua RD was gone. I ran for the stairwell. Down 3 flights. Through the lobby. Out the front door. The rain had stopped. The streets were flooded with emergency vehicles. Red and blue lights reflected off the wet pavement. A woman was standing across the street. Tall. Blonde. Her ARM was in a sling. She looked at me. I looked at her. You got out? I said, helicopter was real. She sta root walking tower RD me. I knew you wouldn't. I had to get them out. They're dead. I stopped. What? The elevator CAR collapsed. The structural supports gave way. They're buried in the basement. She reached me. Her eyes were dry. You left them. And they died. She pulled out a phone. She showed me the screen. A photograph. The elevator CAR crushed. Elena's hand was visible. Emeircus's jumpsuit was visible. That was all. Jonathan Silva killed them, she said. He detonated a RGE in the basement. He knew you'd try to rescue them. He knew you'd climb out. He didn't see a re. He just wanted you to feel it. I grabbed her wrist. Where is he? He's on the move. He's leaving the country tonight. Private jet out of OHA 10 o'clock flight. You have an hour. She pulled her wrist free. I'll find you when this is over. If you survive. She walked away. I stood alone in the rain. The flashing lights reflected off my face. The sirens were louder now. The building was being evacuated. I had the list in my stomach. I had the names in my head. And I had 1 hour. ISTA root walking tower RDOHA 1 hour. One name. One shot that let him run. The rain stopped halfway to the airport. The streets were empty. The sky was a flat black with no stars. I drove a stolen sedan with a cracked windshield and a gas gauge hovering on empty. Deutsche Re loomed ahead. Terminal 5. Private chow routers. The kind of exit you buy when you have 20 million in offshore accounts and a face that can't sit in coach. I or get on the access road. Walked through a service gate. No badge. No credentials. Just a man in a torn jacket with blood on his knuckles and a Glock in his waistband. The tarmac was lit with amber floodlights. A Gulfstream sat at the FAR end, engines already humming. Two men stood at the base of the stairs. Security. Med. Professional. The kind that didn't ask questions. I walked straight to RD them. One of them raised a hand. Stop. This is a private. I shot him in the thigh. He dropped. The other reached for his weapon. I shot him in the shoulder. He spun and fell. I climbed the stairs. The cabin was empty. Leather seats. Polished wood. A bottle of whiskey on a side table. A single briefcase on the floor. Jonathan Silva was in the cockpit. He turned when he heard the door open. He was younger than I expected. 40s. Dark hair. A face that belonged in boa rooms, not black sites. His hands were steady on the controls. Major Morrison, he said. I was wondering when you'd show up. You knew I was coming. I counted on it. He stood. I've been counting on it for years. Every move you've made has been calculated. Every step I've taken has been designed to lead you here. Here. To this plane. To this moment. He smiled. You think you're chasing me. But I've been leading you by the nose since CA Rackus. Every dead drop. Every message. Every breadcrumb. I raised the Glock. Tell me why. He stepped closer. Because you're the only person who could unite the network. You're the symbol. The ghost. The man who walked away. The other players, they needed something to fear or something to hate. You gave them that. You set me up. I built you. His voice dropped. And now you're going to end it. You're going to shoot me. Right here. Right now. And when you do, the network collapses. Not because I'm gone. Because they'll know you're coming for them next. I held the Glock steady. My finger was on the trigger. He didn't flinch. He didn't beg. He just stood there, watching me with those cold, empty eyes. I'm not like you. I said, no. You're worse. He gestured to the door. Go ahead. Leave. Run. They'll be waiting. They'll always be waiting. But if you pull that trigger, you'll be free. I pressed the muzzle against his forehead, but he closed his eyes. Do it. I pulled the trigger, the round didn't fire. The chamber was emptied. He opened his eyes. Confusion flickered across his face. Then something else. Realization. You never planned to kill me. He said, no. I planned to let you talk. I stepped back. And you just confessed to everything. On a plane that's been wired for audio since you bought it. The Bureau has the full recording. Every name. Every date. Every operation. His face went pale. You're bluffing. I never bluff. I turned and walked down the stairs. The sirens were already approaching. Red and blue lights sweeping across the tarmac. That I stepped off the plane and walked toward the perimeter fence. Behind me, I heard Silva shouting. Then the sound of federal agents SWA remaining the aircraft. I didn't look back, but the fence was 10 feet high. I climbed it, dropped to the other side, walked into the arcade. The file was gone. The names were gone. But the recording was out there. And so was I. The network would scatter. They'd hunt me. They'd never stop. But I had something better than a list. I had the truth.